Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I'm going to discuss with you the observer design pattern in TypeScript. The observer design pattern is a fairly important design pattern that you can encounter many times during your web development career, and I think that every serious developer should learn about this design pattern. So let's talk about it for a bit. Imagine a situation where you go to a store like Target or Walmart or your local news store, and you want to buy something. Let's say you want to buy your favorite brand of chocolate. Okay, I don't know, your Toblerone or Mars or Kit Kat or something like that. You go to the store and you ask them whether they have that brand or not. And they tell you, for example, that at that very moment they don't have that exact brand. So you go away, you go back home, you do some stuff, and you come back to the store after, let's say, 1 day or 2 days. You ask them the same question and they tell you that unfortunately at this moment they don't have that brand yet. And they tell you to come back in a bit more time. So you go, you do some other stuff, and after a couple of days you go back and they tell you exactly the same, that they don't have your favorite brand of the product that you are seeking. But they offer you a solution. They tell you, you know what, just give us your phone number or your email address and we will let you know the moment we get that brand. That goes to any service offered by any corporate entity or any company that is selling something, right? So you can encounter this example almost everywhere. When you go to any website that is offering a service of some kind, they tell you to leave your email address in order to get more news or more offers on a certain type of products. And it's of course up to you to leave them your email address, and in case of that, after some while you unsubscribe to their mailing list. So we are going to do something like that. So I'm going to show you the design pattern implemented in UML at first, and then after that we are going to implement it in TypeScript directly. So the observer design pattern consists of two things: the observer, the entity that is observing something, and the observable, and that's the entity that's offering something in return, offering some information, offering some product, offering some services, etc. So the observable, which is in this case is a store or a warehouse or a company of some kind, it receives the email of somebody or the way of informing the client, and it stores that contacting information into a list of some kind. And when it receives a request to unsubscribe, it detaches that contacting information from the list. Otherwise, whenever an event of some type happens, they notify the relevant customers. In this case, the type of events can be different. For example, let's suppose that you are observing IKEA for a certain type of products. Like, for example, you want to buy a certain table, right? And so you are the end customer in this case, but you can also be another company that is observing IKEA for corporate information, for example, for financial reports or something. So the type of events in this case can be different. In this case, we are defining the type of event as many types. In this, but I'm going to use a simple enumeration for this example, but it can be as complex as a class hierarchy by itself. So the observer in this case can be also, as we said, either a end customer or a corporate customer, so or any other type of customers or observers in generalization. So we have the observable, which can be anything, which can be a store, a warehouse, a restaurant, a newspaper. So that is defined as an interface, and the actual observable is after that specialized or specified by an actual implementation. So in this case, you will have the attach method, which attaches subscribers, the detach, which unsubscribe subscribers, and the notification event, which we spoke about a bit before. And aside from that, the observable, which is a commercial entity, can do some business logic, can update its state, and according to that update, we will be notifying the relevant subscribers. Here we will be having a list of certain customers and another list of other types of customers, etc. So as we said, depending on the type of event, the notify method will be notifying the relevant subscribers, and the business logic will execute and updates the state, and after some changes in the state occur, we will be generating an event, and that event will result in the notification process. And of course, there will be a observable manager, which is a simple program that will be managing the observable itself. Okay, so that is actually all there is to that. Always remember the observer and the observable and some manager, and if you want, some event types. But the most important is the observer and observable. Okay, some types of observers, the type of the observer may be different from one another, and the type of observables can be different as well. But in this case, we will be needing only one class. We will not be implementing different observables, just one. But we will be implementing different types of customers. So let's get into that. I will be bringing my Visual Studio Code here. So I'm going to use Dino for this example. Feel free to use any TypeScript environment of your liking. You can go to the TypeScript language site itself and use the playground there. You can use Code Sandbox if you want. For my personal comfort, I'm going to use VS Code and Dino. Dino, for your information, is a runtime environment for TypeScript and JavaScript, and I use it mainly for TypeScript. It's very similar to Node.js, but it has support for TypeScript out of the box. Okay, so I'm going to first find Dino. I have a Dino extension for Visual Studio Code, the official one, and I can use that to initialize the workspace configuration. So enable linting, yes. Enable unstable for a lot of circumstances you want that. And other than that, it will generate a folder.vs code, and in that folder you will see a settings file JSON, which will have your properties enabled for Dino. With this, I'm going to start doing the implementation. I'm going to start with the event type. So let's declare a event type ts folder, and that folder type file I mean. So here I'm going to define an enumeration, and I'm going to call it event type, and this is going to include corporate one and regular customer. Okay, so I'm going to export default this as event type, and this is going to be needed for the observable. And in this case we are going to declare okay, let's declare the observer first. Alright, so let's declare the observer. So observer TypeScript, and I'm going to export a default class. Oh, actually it's an interface observer, and I'm going to declare a method that is going to take an info of type string. This is the business, this is the info that is going to be received by the observable, and it's going to return nothing. Okay, so we have the observer. Now we are going to declare specific observers, specific types. So I'm going to declare another file, and I'm going to call it customer ts, and I'm going to import the observer from observer ts, and here I'm going to export two classes, class corporate customer, which is going to implement the observer interface. Implements. Okay, and I'm going to say update. This is the method that is defined in the interface. So we need to info string, and it's going to say whenever I receive an information. Okay, in a more complex examples, when you receive information from the observable, you might want to store that, you might want to make further processing, you might want to modify that data, different type of things. In this basic very basic example, we are going to just output that information. So I'm going to say, because we are a corporate customer, then we are going to watch for stock prices. For example, stock price is now, and I'm going to put info here. Okay, so this is one class, and the other class will be export class regular customer implements observer. Okay, and update. In this case we are going to say, I'm going to copy this, product price. In this case, product price, that's your chocolate, for example. Product price now is now, and the information received. So this is, we are done now with the observer. Now we are going to, and we are done with the event type. Now we are going to declare the observable. So the observable new folder here is going to be observable. That's a new file, and we are going to import observer from the basic type, from observer, and of course we will need the event type. So event type from event type, and we are going to export only one class. So default, which is our interface, default interface observable, and here we are going to declare attach customer, which is observer, and it's going to return nothing. And again detach customer type observer, and it's going to return nothing. And of course we will be having notify, and the notify will be receiving the event type parameter, which is of type event type, and it will be receiving also the information or data or whatever you want to call it. I'm going to call it info in this case, and of type string, and of course it's going to return nothing. So this is it. Now we are going to define the actual observable, and this observable in this case is going to be a warehouse, Amazon for example, whatever. So let's define warehouse of type TS, and in this warehouse I'm going to import the observable from the observable file, and import observer from, I'm not sure if I need the observer, but we will see. Yeah, I don't think I need that. So I'm going to customer corporate customer and regular customer from Jesus. Okay, this, and import event type from, so the event type. Okay. Yeah, export default, we will need that class warehouse implement observable. Okay, and now we will be defining the lists of relevant customers or subscribers. So corporate observer, I'm going to call that observers, which is of type corporate customer array, and another list for regular, so regular observers, which is a regular customer array. Now I'm going to define some data fields for the business logic, so-called business logic. So in this case I'm going to say stock price, which will be a number, and private, I'm going to define the product price here, any product of your liking. So product price is going to be also a number. Okay, now we are going to define the constructor because we need to initialize these variables. So this corporate observer equals an empty array. This regular observer equals empty array, and this stock price is going to be, I don't know, 1, and this product price, I have an error here, product price. So this, let's make it 10 or something. Okay, So now we are going to define other functions. For example, update stock price, and we will be making random changes. So for example, this stock price equals math round, and I'm going to make the stock price anything from $0 to $100. So math random. Okay, and after this happens, I'm going to notify. So the function isn't there yet, but we are going to implement that. I'm going to notify the corporate observers list. So event type in this case is going to be corporate, and the info in this example will be a string. So I'm going to send the actual stock price, so the $sign, and then we need another $sign, and we are going to send the stock price. So stock price. Okay. Yeah, it says that notify isn't there. We are going to declare it in a moment. So I'm going to update the product price, and in this case I'm going to say almost the same thing. So I'm going to copy this code. So this is product price, and the product price, I'm going to make it just $0 to $20. Notify, and this is going to be regular, and this is going to be product. Copy paste code usually has its minuses. You can sometimes forget what you are copying, and you can leave some errors here. I could leave, for example, the stock price here instead of the product price, and that would be leading to some errors in the program. So be careful when you are doing any copy paste operations. So I'm going to test whether the customer is corporate or it's a regular customer. So in this case, I'm going to define a private function. And why is private? Because nobody else is going to test it or use it instead of the warehouse. So I'm going to name it is corporate customer, and it's going to receive a customer of type observer, and because of that, as you can see, I need to include the observer here. That's why I forgot to do that. Actually, I didn't know that I will need it here. So import observer from like that. So yeah, what's with the warehouse? Class warehouse incorrectly implements interface observable. Type warehouse is missing the following operation: observable, attach, detach, notify. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay, so let's do this. Attach, detach, and notify. Okay, so what's happening here? Expected 0 arguments but got 2. Notify is in the observable, event type info, and warehouse is implementing observable. Yeah. Event type of of type event type and info of type string. Yeah, the linting sometimes can confuse you a lot. So anyway, back to the function. We are going to test whether the customer is a corporate or not. So in this case, I'm going to use the instance of. So return customer instance of corporate customer. Okay, so if the customer is of type corporate customer, this will be true, otherwise this will be false. And I'm going to do something similar for the regular user. So is regular customer, and let's copy this. So customer, and we are going to see if it is a regular customer or not. After that, we are going to implement the attach, and I'm going to, for the attachment, I'm going to test whether this is a corporate customer or a regular customer, and in each case I'm going to push that customer into its relevant list. So I'm going to receive a customer which is of type observer, and I'm going to ask if this customer is the corporate customer, actually like so, and I'm going to pass the customer there. So if it is a corporate customer, then in this case I'm going to go to the customers, to the corporate list, corporate observers list, and I'm going to push the customer inside customer. Yeah, otherwise I'm going to see if this I'm going to see if this guy is a regular customer. So this is regular customer, and in this case I'm going to say this regular observers push this customer. Okay, so otherwise just return, simply do nothing. Okay, as for the detachment, I'm going to do something similar. I'm going to check first if the guy is a corporate or a regular, and after that I'm going to search for that customer within the relevant list, and in case I find it, I delete it, otherwise I report an error. So this let's ask first if this is corporate customer. Yeah. What's happening here? Yeah, okay. So I'm going to copy this just like that and put it here. Attach, detach. This is customer of type observer, and I'm going to ask if this is a corporate customer, and if so, I'm going to find the index of that. So const index equals this corporate observers index of customer, So in this case, I'm going to see if the index is -1, because if it is -1, then that means I didn't find the customer there. So if index is equal to -1, then I'm going to say, I'm going to throw an error, for example, and say no such corporate subscriber. Otherwise I'm going to use splice. So this corporate observers splice the index. So we found the index, so splice the array, remove one element at the position of index. Okay, so this is in case of corporate customer, and in case of a regular customer, so we will be saying else. So I'm going to check anyways, because if someone passed a invalid parameter, so I'm going to say if this is regular customer. Okay, I'm going to repeat this step, so I'm going to copy this and I'm going to modify it. So regular observers index of customer, no such regular subscriber, and we have the regular here, splice. Okay, so this is in case the customer either corporate or regular, but there is also a case remains when the customer is invalid altogether. So in this case I'm going to say else throw for example subscriber type is not supported. It could be, for example, undefined or not a number or anything. Okay, so we have now done almost everything. So we have the attach, detach, we have the update, I think. Yeah, update stock price, I'd update product price. Now we are going to implement the notify, which is the last step. So we have the event type and the info, and in this case we are going to just test the event type. Okay, so the switch. Okay, and we are going to see what type of event we are receiving, and in case of it is event type corporate, then we are going to say what? We are going to go through the corporate observers list, and we are going for each one to update the info. So this corporate observers, and for each customer, please let them know that the stock prices has changed, for example. So customer update info. Okay, and after that simply break. And in case of a regular user or regular subscriber, then we are going to do almost the same. So we are going to say this regular observers for each customer, tell them their favorite brand of chocolate is here. So this regular observers yeah. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm already there. Yeah, you see, typing and speaking at the same time is kind of difficult type of multitasking. So so here you go, customer update, and give them the info that you have received. So other than that, break and do nothing in case of default. Okay, so I think we are almost done here for the observable, for the warehouse. And now it's time to declare the manager, which is in this case a simple main file. So in this file, I'm just going to declare a couple of customers and couple of actually one warehouse and two types of customers, and we'll see how it will be working. So import warehouse from the warehouse, and import, of course, the corporate customer and regular customer from the customer file. And let's define our warehouse, and I'm going to call it happy warehouse, and this is going to be a new instance of warehouse. Okay, and I'm going to define some corporate customers here, for example IBM, or you name it, whatever you want. Corporate customer. Who else? Const, let's say McDonald's, for example. New corporate customers, const local news, new corporate customer. Okay, you can also create an array of customers and generate them dynamically. I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. So we will now define our regular customers, like John, for example, which is new regular customer. And I'm going to copy this twice, and I'm going to name this Daniel, and I'm going to name the last one, I don't know, Maria. So what I'm going to say now is attaching the subscribers. So I'm going to call the attach method, and I'm going to say attach IBM, and I'm going to repeat this thing for McDonald's and for local news, and I'm going to do the same thing for the regular users, regular subscribers I mean. So we have John, Daniel, and Maria. Okay, so what are we going to do now is we are going to generate an event. We are going to run an interval event. So every 3 seconds we are going to make a change to the business state, and because of that the warehouse will generate an event and will be notifying the relevant subscribers. So how are we going to do that? So I'm going to declare a counter, because we are going to use the set interval function as a simulation. So I'm going to define the ID of the timer of the interval. So I'm going to say set interval, and I'm going to define a function inside that, an anonymous function, and I'm going to run this guy every 3 seconds, which is 3000 milliseconds. So I'm going to say generate news, and this news is going to be either corporate or regular, and I'm going to do this on a random basis. So I'm going to generate a random number, and that random number will be either 1 or 0. and depending on that, I'm going to generate an event. So I'm going to say math round math random. Okay, and I'm going to console log that thing. I'm going to say I'm going to check whether the news is 0 or 1. So I'm going to say is the news 0, and in case it is 0, return corporate, otherwise return let's make it with small, actually no, regular, or product in this case, product news. Okay, news update. Okay, and now we are going to switch for the news and check its value. So in this case, as I said, I'm going to check if it is 0 or 1. So in case it is 0, it is corporate. So case of 0. In this case, I'm going to tell the warehouse to update stock price, because this is corporate. So update stock price, and automatically when the stock price updates, it will generate a notification to the relevant users. So break, and in case this is 1, we are going to say update product price, and this is going to generate a regular event to the relevant users. So break, and I'm going to add a default situation, which is just impossible to reach, because we are never going to be there. So this part of the code is not going to be reached any time. So what I'm going to test now is, we have a counter here. So I'm going to increase that counter by 1 every time we pass an interval. So I'm going to say if the counter is 2, so we repeat this event for 2 times, and after that I'm going to test the detachment, the unsubscription process. So I'm going to say happy warehouse detach, and I'm going to detach, for example, IBM, and I'm going to detach, for example, John. Yeah, because you can, if you wanted to unsubscribe from your store or your newspaper, then you just click unsubscribe, so you don't receive some bothering news that you regard as spam after that. So, oops, what did I do? Yeah. So we also detach, let's say, Maria. And after, let's say, 3 times, so counter is equals 3, then, for example, we detach another guy. So happy warehouse detach. Let's detach McDonald's. And after 4 times, so counter 4, we will be clearing our interval. So clear interval using the ID that we have saved here, this guy. So yeah, I think that's it. So now we are going to test our logic, and oh, we have a problem here. Yeah. So this guy, yeah, we need to increase the counter. Okay. Any problems? No. Okay, let's test our implementation. So, and hope for the best. Run main ts. Okay, first corporate news, 3 guys. Corporate news, again 3 guys. Product news, 3 guys. Product news, only 1 guy. Corporate news, only 1 guy. Yeah. So yeah. So the first run, we have corporate news because we generated corporate news here. So this is case 0. And the second attempt, we generated also 0, so it is corporate news. So we informed the corporate customers of different stock prices. And then we generated 1, and we informed the regular customers that the chocolate prices have changed. And after that, this is 1, 2, 3 blocks. So after 3, we detached 1 corporate customer and 2 regular customers. So here we have product news. So now we have only 1 regular customer. So it receives only 1 customer receives the notification. And after that, we have corporate. So we already have detached 2 subscribers from the 3 that we had. So only 1 customer is receiving this. And the final one, it is a corporate news. So we notify the remaining corporate customer and we end the loop. So you see that this mechanism works. It is a beautiful mechanism, and it is fairly important. You will encounter it many times. So I hope you have learned something useful from this tutorial. In case you have any comments, please leave them in the comment section. Share, like, subscribe, and you can find also the code in the description in my GitHub repository. See you the next time.